Hi again, and welcome back to Accidental Accidental TV or Talk at AT. We've got another kind of interesting talk show type thingy majobby to give you today. We've got Pete O'Neill from the Imagine Festival coming up, and then Finn Kennedy from the Bread and Butter Fund coming up after that. And all buffeted with our team, Niall, Tommy, and myself, and our house DJ, Marty. So tune in for another kind of ramshackle talk show style thing. It'll be a bit of fun, but first of all, as it's 12:30ish, here is another selection from Yellow Korean Tai Chi of their Tai Chi lessons. So I'll just get it all up and ready. Hope you enjoy it. Fantastic guys. Please feel free to support them. Their details are on the screen in a wee second. Give them a wee donation or tune in and book a class whenever the lockdown is all up. So we'll see you back in about half an hour. Cheers.
Hello, my name is Michael. I'm going to take you through some Qigong exercises. We're going to start with a nice warm-up. We're going to use the shoulders to roll back, up, forwards and down. So the action wants to be nice and smooth. You want to roll the shoulders nice and gently around in big circles. So think about the shoulder blades. You can separate the shoulder blades when your shoulders come forward, drop them down, pull the shoulder blades back together so they touch and rise up and forwards. So nice and gentle, you don't have to force it. You can sink when the shoulder blades come down and rise when you come up. So sink down, rise up. Sink down, pull the shoulder blades back, rise up, bring the shoulder blades upwards. As you sink down, separate the shoulders forward and continue with a nice smooth circle. Then change direction. So down, up, around and back. And just do a few more of these. This is good for opening up the chest. Obviously, you're exercising the shoulders, but you're also moving the lower back. As you sink down and stretch forward, you should feel a bit of a pull in the lower back as well. One more. Good. Okay, so we're going to continue with the neck exercise. And we'll just drop the nose down in front. And raise up and look to the ceiling. And drop the head down. And back up. And down, and up. I actually have a bit of a problem with my neck, so I can't look all the way up, but if you would like to continue to look as far back as comfortable, that'd be very good. So just down, and then look up to wherever's comfortable, and then back down. Okay. So we're going to take this exercise a little bit further. We drop the nose down to the front, roll the head over so that the ear comes to the shoulder. Roll the nose back and drop the other ear down to the shoulder. And then roll forwards again. So nice smooth circles. Just trying to iron out any kinks that are in the neck. Always go to where it's comfortable. try and make sure you get the 4 points. Don't try and put your nose to the shoulder. It's the ear that comes to the shoulder. And then roll the nose forward, and it's the other ear that comes to that shoulder. And change direction. So dropping the ear, dropping the nose, dropping the other ear, and then raising up to the back. Good. Now we're going to work on the upper body, so I want your feet to come together. Your hands will be in front of the heart, not touching, but just slightly out. Elbows to a comfortable height. Right? I want to keep the kneecaps pointing forwards and turn the body to the side. And come back to the center and breathe out as you turn. Remember to keep the kneecaps pointing forward. You can even make the kneecaps go the opposite direction so that you get a nice counter twist in the body. So you turn to the side. You can even look as far behind as you can. Come back to the other side. So breathe in when you come to the front, and breathe out when we go to the side. So here we should be working the torso. We're creating an internal stretch. And if you breathe out, you'll squeeze the lungs. Now we're going to take this exercise one stage further and do exactly the same thing. So we keep our knees pointing forward. We keep our hands in front of the chest. And as we turn, we keep looking forward. So kneecaps and face stay pointing forward and pull everything else to the other side. So your hands can travel across to that opposite shoulder. And then come back to the center. So your kneecaps and your face stay pointing forward. Everything else goes to the side. And relax, don't force it. You will feel a bit of a stretch, but don't try to do too much. Try to stay relaxed and make the movement quite smooth. You want to do one more each side? Good. Okay. When we stand, we want to be nice and hip width apart. We want our feet to be facing forwards if we can. If you get your stance right, you can actually start to relax more. If you get your shoulders above your hips above the knees, and your knees above the feet. So we're trying to align the skeleton so we have structure. Once you have structure, you can relax around that structure. So we'll just stand just for about 30 seconds. Try and feel like the back of the neck is slightly raised. There's a slight gap under each armpit. So just open up the arms slightly. We relax the shoulders down into the hips. And relax the hips down through the knees, and through the feet, and into the floor. Try to feel like your weight goes down to the center of the foot, so it's not too far forward. Your toes should not be gripping the floor, but you're not too far back either. Just stand and breathe. Just feel how your body's feeling. Feel your wrists start to relax. Feel the elbows becoming heavy. Just let your face start to relax. Let the muscles of the face, just let them go. Feel your neck start to relax down into the shoulders, down into the back. Feel your rib cage start to soften. And let your hips relax, thighs, knees, calf muscles. Let the ankles go. And feel the weight of your body sink into the floor. Good. And put your hands on the hips. And what we're going to do is do a circle. So put the hips back and the face forward. Put the hips round to the side. And as your hips come forwards, lean back. Hips go to the other side and the face starts to come down. So try to keep the head facing forwards. And try to get a big rotation of the hips. And then change direction. So the hips go out to the other side. Around and back. So again, trying to keep the head in the middle. It's very easy to be going around and around and around. And try to keep the head in the middle as your hips do more work. Good. If you keep your hands by your side, we're just going to tuck and roll down, and we're just going to try and lengthen the spine out a little bit. So we do this by relaxing. We're not trying to stretch the spine, we're trying to allow it to open. We do this by tucking the chin. Always keep your chin tucked. We're going to go down, relax for a while, keep the chin tucked, and we're going to come back up. Always keep the chin tucked. So when we come back up, the chin is the last thing to come up. We're going to hang the body off the hips. Always keep the chin tucked as we do it. So we're going to roll down, keeping the chin tucked, and we're going to roll back up, keeping the chin tucked, so your head is the last thing to come up. When we get down there, we're going to stay there for 20, 30 seconds. And we're going to try and allow the spine to just open up by relaxing. We're not trying to touch the floor. We're not trying to stretch anything. We're just trying to let the body to open up. So as you're down there, just relax the body, relax the lower back, relax the hips, relax the neck. You're trying to let the arms hang and feel the weight of your own head. So really try and feel like the spine, allow the spine to open up. So now we're going to continue with the next set of 3 exercises that go very well together. So we have our nice stance. Our feet are nice and shoulder width apart. Your arms are nice and relaxed. So we raise the arm up. Think about the thumb along that line of your arm. Raise both arms up to shoulder height. We bring the hands in front of the heart. And here we just want to breathe. So breathe, really try and use the chest to breathe. I want to expand, and when you breathe in, let your hands separate. And you breathe out, they come closer together. So breathing in, if I exaggerate it, we're doing this. And we breathe out to come back in. But don't do it so much as that. So every time you breathe in, and breathe out. So trying to use the lungs, trying to open up the chest. And then bring the hands down. So once more. Arms come up, shoulder width apart onto shoulder height. We draw the arms in to chest level. We breathe. And then the next breath in, we raise the shoulders. And breathe out as you point the fingers forwards. Breathe in as the arms come out to the side, not fully out to the side. Still a little bit in front of you. And then as we breathe out, we seat the wrists so the fingers point to the air, to the ceiling. This is a standing posture. So what you want to do is feel the body. Feel like you're expansive. Feel like you're strong. The elbows are slightly bent, so we don't want anyone to be locking the elbows as far as they can. Keep them bent, but press through the arms. And relax the wrists and come back down. So the first one again, we raise the thumbs. We come back into the heart. We breathe. And you can do this one as many times as you want. I'm just going to do it twice. Third breath in, raise the elbows. Breathe out as the hands point forwards. Breathe in and then breathe out. So relax the wrists. Bring the hands forwards again, so fingers point forwards. Elbows come out as you point the middle fingers towards each other. Rotate palms up. Stretch to the ceiling. Open the body, open the spine, and then raise the heels. So we sink down and bring the hands back to the side. So the first exercise, we raise the thumbs to the front, come into the heart. Breathe. And the third breath, Raise the elbows. Point the fingers forwards, out to the side. And the second exercise is a standing posture. So raise the fingers up to the air. You can stand here as long as you want. But it's a good idea just to relax the wrists. Come forward. Don't stand for too long. It gets sore. Bring the hands in to below the chin. Turn palms up and stretch to the ceiling. Open the body. Raise the heels as you do. And slowly, if you can, come down. And to the side. So once more, raise the thumbs into the heart. Raise the elbows forward and then to the side and sink the wrists. Let the wrists go. Come forwards and then back underneath the chin. Raise up. Raise the heels. Slowly come down. And return to neutral stance. Okay. I want to thank you all very much. My name's Michael, and I'll hopefully see you next time.
That was Yellow Crane Tai Chi, so please give them a wee bit of support by going to their website, booking any classes or following them on social media and things like that. They've given us 2 classes that we filmed in Accidental a few weeks ago. They'll be online on our YouTube account later on today. The first one is already up, and they will add this one that was just broadcast later on today as well. It'll be just live and under if you go Yellow Crane Tai Chi. We'll try and put a link on our website as well so everyone can kind of get to it from YouTube and from Facebook and from our website. We'll be back in about a couple of minutes with the live show, so hope you enjoy and talk to you again in 2 seconds. Hiya, welcome back to Talk at AT. We're back for another week after last week's inaugural episode. So we're back again to talk about some crap, about the arts and about little things, about noodle and chat and weird stuff, as much as we can come up with for a theatre company who's in lockdown. As usual, I am broadcasting from Accidental Theatre. I'm locked in my office, and we have a couple of people zooming in to chat to me. I'll be switching and doing different things on the different gizmos we've got here to run the show. So it's very relaxed. It's very all over the place. It'll probably get maybe slicker and less slick as we go on. This week we're joined by Pete O'Neill from the Imagine Festival, and then Finn Kennedy who's an artist in her own right, but also is involved in the Bread and Butter Fund to support artists during COVID-19 lockdown. And joined also by my co-hosts. So let's just bring up the panel that we got. Here you go, guys. Welcome to the latest episode. We got at the top this time we've got Tommy. Then we've got Pete, who will be chatting to us in a wee second, and then we've got Niall now on the bottom. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So how has everyone's week been?
Weather's been nice.
Yes, Tommy, you're still in Fermanagh. Is the weather equally as nice in Fermanagh as it is in Belfast?
Well, we have to make use of it. We get like one nice week before summer and one nice week after summer. So we had a household barbecue yesterday, which is quite nice. But I think after this week, that'll probably be it for us. Back to rain.
Yeah, so no weeks in summer that are nice then?
No, not usually.
No, it's pretty much the same all over Northern Ireland then. And now you're locked down quite close to the theatre.
Yep, I'm in the book bar. I'm right next door.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I've been grand. We don't have a garden, but we do have like a balcony, and it's not really meant for like human habitation. It's just kind of meant for like planters. But I'll just sit out there and watch the beautiful weather and think about how things could have been.
Yeah, you've been having little kind of tea parties in your balcony or front garden area, as I remember you telling me.
I mean, like, it's just me drinking tea alone, occasionally with my flatmate Colin.
That's a party.
It's
that's the best kind of party we've got at the moment in lockdown.
It's kind of like, I just find like, Gillian was talking about her puppets. I just build puppets, and I'm like, more tea, Miss Havisham, and it's just complete madness.
Gillian being one of the venue team at Accidental, for anyone who doesn't know who Gillian is.
Pete, do you have any outdoor space?
We have a backyard, so very grateful for that. And it's a bit of a sun trap, so I expect to have a wonderful tan by the time we emerge from our cocoons into a bright new world. But yeah, I'm quite busy mopping up really the festival. April is generally a very boring, tedious time for me, so with no distractions, I've been able to pay all my invoices and look after our performers and artists. So yeah, I've been cracking on, so I've been quite busy.
Yeah, so this is Peter O'Neill. Pete, do you prefer Peter or Pete in this kind of context of interviewing?
I answer to a range of descriptions, but you can call me Pete Rich. What about that?
Yeah,
that's very informal.
So Peter, you are the director. I just immediately went to Peter instead of Pete there. Pete, you're the director of the Imagine Festival, which, as you say, has just kind of finished up and was transferred into a virtual festival for the first time in its history, and probably in the history of many other things in Northern Ireland. So you're kind of doing all the due diligence and the changes to the forms and the submissions and the payments. But how was the festival for you? Because that was quite a stressful march.
It was, but quite amazing, really. I suppose the easy option would have been for us to cancel, and just, wipe the slate clean and, start moving on to next year's planning. But I suppose, the thing that really struck me was the amount of work that a lot of our performers had put in, for their live performances, their live presentations, etc. So with the help of people like you and other kind folk, we were able to, really on the 13th of March, like 2 weeks before we were due to start, we took the decision, well, let's try to rescue, the bulk of the program. And we were able to actually save approximately a third of our 92 events. And we were able to add some new content to invite, other presenters to come on board. So we were able to actually showcase 41 broadcasts during the 25th to 27th of March. So we truncated the festival to a 3-day offering, and we're able to persuade quite a number of our performers, speakers to move to a virtual platform. And to be frank, the response has been amazing, and we're still getting hits on our website, imaginebelfast.com. People are still consuming the content. And I think people really appreciated the fact that we made that extra effort and salvaged something from this, dreadful disaster and dreadful crisis that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite amazing just to see from the back end just how much of a change you had to make to the festival, how much it kept kind of moving and altering all the way through. And you were definitely one of the first to move and say, no, we have to kind of move away from doing it live, but let's still get going. What was involved in kind of moving from a set program that you had? Talk us through some of the kind of the kind of, I've got a car alarm going off right beside me now. What kind of things? What was the thought process, and what did you have to do to kind of to completely change everything? There was meeting with artists. I remember a big group meeting, a big discussion. People won't have kind of seen a lot of that going on. What was it like?
Well, we were scrambling. This is uncharted territory for everyone. And although in the great scheme of things, a festival pales into insignificance, compared to the threat to life, the threat to health posed by COVID-19, we did feel, we had some responsibility to, particularly as a festival of politics and ideas, provide a platform for the discussion of what was happening to us, what was happening to the body politic, in Northern Ireland. And I suppose trying to provide some sort of education and, dare I say, entertainment role, for people who, as we knew, were going to be locked down, going to be increasingly stuck at home. So the first thing we had to do was really check back with our funders. We're a very small festival. We only, our funders are critical, as any arts and creative industry, but although we have a very small income base, approximately £30,000, it was critical that we had the support of our funders to pivot to a virtual platform. And as you mentioned, we did have this meeting. We brought together as many of our artists and performers, funders, and we thrashed it out basically. And I think people were reassured that to move to a virtual platform, first of all, could be achieved. The technical aspects of that could be managed. But secondly, that the quality wouldn't suffer that much, that we could still present, a high quality offering that it's something to say in this new and dangerous climate that we found ourselves in. And after that, really, it was just hell for leather, inviting people to come into your studio, to come into the lovely surrounds of Accidental Theatre and to record some pieces to camera. We thought it was a great opportunity as well to bring in new speakers and new voices, and we commissioned, for example, some new pieces. from medical experts, from political commentators. So we added some new content to the events that we had already programmed. And finally, we were able to, work with people like yourselves, so Accidental Theatre, our design company, RV, critical friends of the festival, like Alan Mabon, Dawn Richardson, the people at 343. And we were able to bring together a range of content that covered a whole spectrum of genres, everything from comedy, to hard-hitting political debate, to poetry, to music. So we wanted to provide, if you like, a real palette, a real range of stuff that's true really to the original aims of the festival, i.e. programming the best of Northern Ireland and international talent that has something to say about our world.
What was some of the things that you got to do in the virtual kind of space that you didn't get to do in the, if you had just kept on with the original program?
Well, I suppose maybe the other way around. We had 92 events really in our public, if you like, program. Quite a number of those were sold out. And we wanted, I suppose, to retain those that obviously had that popular appeal. So, for example, Sam McBride, we actually added an extra event where he was talking about Burned, his new book about the RHI scandal. So we wanted to preserve his event, and people like Paul Mason, who would be arguably one of our headliners. He was very happy to work with us and to contribute to a Zoom interview. But we lost an awful lot of content, particularly the sort of quirkier workshop-based events, and that was a great shame. And they figured they would have featured a lot of our younger performers, and particularly female talent. And it was a shame that we lost a lot of that content. Like our festival is very much developed, it was very much established to promote live discussion, that real engagement with people at close quarters, where people can't see, in the eyes of our speakers and engage in debates and discussion. So it's a shame that we lost that really in the virtual festival. And if we do this again, we will certainly try to maximize ways in which people online can engage with the content. But we're a small, fairly under-resourced festival, and at least we didn't lose any money, and we were able to provide a range of content that still is being consumed. And I think moving away from the messaging that people are now focused on, i.e. just encouraging people to stay at home, I think festivals like ours and indeed others have been important in actually saying to people, well, what can you usefully do at home? Rather than just the messaging about being safe, well, what are the creative ways that people can use their time at home and engage with the creative industries and spark in some new ideas on where politics will be when we come out of lockdown.
Yeah, there were some really interesting kind of pieces within that were recorded in the studio. One of the ones I remember that Alan recorded for Slugger TV, it painted a very bleak picture of what will happen after the after the lockdown. Up until that stage, I kind of was I was in a bit of hope that we'll emerge from the lockdown with a new society, fresh and excited about things like universal basic income and supporting the arts and things like that. But then that kind of talk kind of punctured some of that with the idea that austerity and unending austerity that will be rolled out to pay off the COVID-19 debt. So yeah, I'm hoping the festival next year will be able to address some of that and bring back hope.
Well, yes, like already, we've engaged with, practitioners. Like we're programming next year as we speak. Even this morning, I was talking to potential participants, and it is trying to anticipate where we're going to be, for example, next March, and really how particularly the arts sector here can respond effectively, to this crisis. And to be frank, the signs aren't that good, there's lots of creative discussions, particularly in Southern Ireland and GB and indeed internationally, about how coming out of this crisis, we can create a new model for the arts. We're funding, in the same way that there's renewed emphasis now on public funding for our health services, for social care, etc. But I think, there is a real debate that we need to kick off in terms of how, the creative industries can actually support people. We know that mental health problems are on major increase. And what we tried to do in the festival, for example, was create a public gallery where we asked people to actually submit artworks on mental health themes. And we know from the traffic on our website that lots of people are engaging with this online gallery where we ask members of the public to submit, pieces of artwork representing the ways that they had dealt, with mental health issues. So I think there is a real debate that we need to have. Can the creative industries elicit the same sort of public support for increased funding that we see with health, social care, education? Is there a debate about, should government, funders, relative other stakeholders and artists themselves maybe come together in some sort of task force led by the Department for Communities, actually look at, the sort of digital content that we need to develop, to keep people together, keep people safe at home, and to allow them to critically engage rather than just being consumers, but also allow them to participate in the development of digital content and its distribution. So, to be frank, I think there's a real agenda there, there's a real challenge for us in the arts sector. And to be frank, I think it's been rather muted at the moment, but that's perhaps understandable as we're still trying to navigate our way through this awful situation that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the moment it still certainly feels like we had the immediate lockdown, the immediate kind of shutdown. Let's all stay safe, and we're still in that mode. But it kind of, it quickly kind of moved to let's all, the fear of lost income, the fear of not being able to survive months and months of lockdown. The latest advice that we're definitely going to be locked down until the end of May, at the very least. It certainly, I think, cows everyone a little bit, and it certainly did us. And there was a really interesting article from Ali Fitzgibbon that we kind of debated internally about its importance or not. That was up on Arts Professional website yesterday, around about the idea that the rush to streaming sort of again devalues the artistic work that people are putting into it. And it's an interesting one to kind of see the questions around the idea that streaming will be both possibly the savior or possibly a really good new avenue to explore, but also it can have a very detrimental effect. For the Imagine Festival, it was it was almost an essential thing. I mean, you obviously had the choice not to do anything. Was that really a choice in your mind? As a festival that normally produces most of its stuff for free, allows anyone to access it, talks and discussions. The move online, was that natural, or was that what were the questions in your mind about kind of moving on to online only?
Well, one, can we afford it? Because there were some extra costs obviously involved in working, with technicians and etc. The loss of our ticket income, although most of our events are free, we do tickets, quite a number of our events. So last year, we had at least £14,000 in ticket income. So we lost that immediately. But I think the critical one was the quality aspect. Is the content that we're going to put out really deserving of exposure? Is it going to engage significant people? And does it have a role to play in this period of history that we find ourselves in? So those were the critical issues. Now, what we found was, although we love and we're bedded to public events, to live discussion and engagement, there were some, amazing impacts. Like, first of all, we got some fantastic comments from people who normally don't go to our events. I can think of a lovely comment from a lone parent who's been consuming our, who's loved the idea of the festival for the last number of years, hadn't been able to actually come to an event because of access issues, but loved the fact that she could engage with our digital content. We also got some lovely comments from disabled people, again, on access issues, particularly those from the deaf community. And again, YouTube and captioning, these sort of technologies allow people who normally wouldn't experience our festival in the live, but were able to engage this year. But also our reach just exploded. Normally we get between 8,000 and 9,000 people, attending our events. This year we went global. Thousands of people were able to actually see our events, to engage with us, through YouTube and messaging, Facebook Live, etc. And I think we were able to actually present Belfast and Northern Ireland in a really positive light, to international audiences. And because we were one of the first festivals to actually move to a virtual platform, we really did seem to attract a lot of international attention. And I hope we were able to put Belfast on the map, so to speak, during the last week of March.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I'm certainly very excited about the idea that the reach, the possibilities with reach with streaming. That there's fascinating economics around the idea that as a small venue, we can only fit 100 people into the building at a time, whereas with streaming, there's a very large potential audience there who one can't physically get to the audience to the theatre, who might have accessibility issues, might have a whole load of different kind of parents stuck at home. Any number of different people who can't usually make it down would actually be able to access the work of artists from this country, but access it around the world. So I think there's a very exciting potential there, and certainly it was lovely to see that played out with the Imagine Festival. Tommy, you had a question for Pete?
Yeah, I was just curious. Obviously, it's not the best way to kind of be forced into making these changes, but I was just curious whether kind of the online aspect and kind of virtual events and sort of virtual streaming and things like that, whether you guys as a festival had talked about it before everything happened with COVID, and whether you've been considering that maybe in the last couple of years.
Tommy, yes, there's no that we were nudged into this in a really dramatic way, but we have experimented in the past, and I think critical to our success this year was the fact that we had partners like yourselves, like Accidental Theatre, but also 343, Framework Gallery, and people like Alan Mabon, and our designers, RV, they all have quite a lot of experience, with these technologies, with these platforms. And to be frank, without, that sort of support, that technical backup, we wouldn't have been able to do anything. So we were quite well placed, really. It didn't take us very long. Once we'd made the decision, really, and done the risk assessments and checked back, with funders, etc. We were able to move quite quickly. And again, the critical thing was that we had partners, who have been experimenting and, dare I say, been very successfully using, online broadcasting in the past. So we're able to piggyback on that expertise. And I suppose most importantly, that reassurance that, particularly to our performers and speakers, that they could engage and use these technologies and deliver, useful and creative broadcasts, which would be, welcomed by the public.
It's certainly an interesting question about whether next year, is it something that will naturally, do you think, become part of what festivals do now? Either out of fear of having to close down due to another pandemic, as likely or unlikely as that is, or just as an accessibility thing? Do you think it could be more likely now?
Well, certainly for us it will be. We will go out and actively curate, if you like, an online strands. We will look to, in a sense, cover our public. We will record a lot more of our live events and stream that, for audiences that can't physically be there. But already I've received quite a lot of inquiries from not just local festivals, local arts organizations, but indeed international, really trying to pick what's left of my brains on how to move and exploit virtual platforms. So yeah, I do detect, obviously, as you would expect, an increased appetite for going online. And I think the challenge for us as curators, as programmers, is how we can improve audience participation. in these types of broadcasts and curate and develop and encourage performers to be more creative in how they can exploit these technologies to add value, to their performances and presentations, etc.
Yeah. Any questions from the rest of the team?
You just asked my question, but I was quite curious to know, like the idea that, it's good. It's because it worked really well. So it's good to know that, it wasn't just a workaround like the live streaming. It's good to know that, because like you said, like you could potentially reach like people all around the world. Would you go to artists now with, like, would that be something you'd consider? Like how easy would it be to not only like have an actual event, but to make it accessible for people at home or people across the world? Would that be a criteria now, or would it be two kind of separate things?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think the classic example was working with our tour organizers. We've always enjoyed programming lots of walking tours, bus tours, ways of exploring and engaging with the city. And one of the broadcasts that we were able to deliver was with Marty McCauley, who does a whiskey tasting tour. I think that might be a difficult one to transfer, to an online broadcast. But he's a natural, he's quite a charismatic character. And I suppose being a tour guide, he's very good communication skills. But he was able to transfer, his tour, to an online presentation really quite easily. And already I've been talking to, people like him, other tour organizers, about whether using head cams or ways in which we can actually be very creatively involved in using walking tours and explore outdoor aspects of, how to engage with the city. I think on the other hand, it's quite difficult for our comedians though to engage, with broadcasts, that they really miss a live audience and able to feed off, to respond to. We had hoped, for example, have Tim McGarry doing a recorded, event with us, and it just really wasn't going to work. Comedy I think is problematic, in terms of online, but it could be done with smaller audiences, perhaps. And workshops are difficult, obviously, to transfer, to online platforms. But again, already there's some ideas that we're working on where, small scale workshops with maybe just one or two participants, can be looked at and developed. So yeah, I think it's a fruitful field for discovery, and I think it does present those challenges to our performers and how they can transfer their performances onto a digital screen.
It feels like you could dedicate an entire Imagine Festival to the turning virtual of Imagine Festival 2020.
Yeah. And again, we're lucky, I suppose, in that the ideas, the discussion of ideas, a lot of our content, is delivered by academics, by experts, by people who are, quite conversant in using Skype or Zoom or, so a large part of our program can be transferred online, relatively easily. It's the more performance-based stuff that perhaps requires further refinement and further consideration. And that's really where a lot of our energies will go to next year. But I suppose the short answer, to your question is that we'll do both. We're committed to the idea of public events, engaging with audiences and around. But there's no reason why they can't be recorded, edited, streamed, and there's no reason why we can't just curate specialist online events that we think are better suited, to that type of media.
Nice. We got, or Tommy, do you want to field that one?
Yeah, so we had a question from a YouTube comment there. Let me just double check. That was from Devil Jam on YouTube, and they were asking, do you think going online robs local art of its localness? Suddenly the art is framed in an international context and it blends into the global art world. A physical context is important that way. Is there any thoughts you'd have just on that?
Well, yes, there's no doubt that, the great thing about moving online is that the diagnostics, the analysis, the information that you can glean, particularly from YouTube, but even Facebook Live, and give you some very accurate, if you like, data on where your audiences are coming from, what they find most useful, most interesting. And there's no doubt that we got a real international buzz for this speaker. I was just talking about Marty McCauley, the whiskey tour guide. There's no doubt that there was a real international engagement, with his presentation. And perhaps maybe a surprised reaction from local audiences who perhaps didn't quite realize the local connotations with whiskey, how Belfast was such a major producer of whiskey in the past, and the political aspects of how, particularly in North America, Ulster Scots sort of whiskey producers have been so key, to the emergence of that particular nation state. So yeah, I think international audiences do love that authentic local content that we're able to present online, and people like Marty, people who have a really good local story to tell, do work very well in that sort of international context.
I think having that kind of the local personalities and the local aspect is a strength when you're looking at a global kind of online setting, because it kind of, that's what draws people in, is something that's outside of what they normally experience. So I definitely think it is a big strength to put out stuff that is very unique to that place and time,
And it's interesting how our website will be archived, by Public Record Office. It is a snapshot, I suppose, of how the community here, in a small way, reacted, to the coronavirus. I think maybe future generations will look at some of the content that we've now been able to preserve and archive. And, it is, in a sense, a bit of living history, a snapshot in time. And I suppose it's part of really one small response from an arts organization in Belfast in that wider global response, to this terrible virus.
Yeah, what seems to be very interesting is the idea that the local will have a global reach and the local will have a global impact. It's getting more and more interesting. You see the likes of Netflix making more super and hyper local content for specific regions, and then the reverse is true, where you find audiences really kind of connecting in with a really local story. Tiger King is a really strange example of that. How they, that is a little microcosm in the States. Not just the GW Zoo, but also the idea of lions and tigers as private pets across the States. And that's had a global reach whenever it's kind of dialed into. Now, it's not probably a greatest example, simply because it's, it's blown up for maybe the wrong reasons. But it's that kind of idea is it's kind of fantastic. The idea that you can have a reach for something that would be otherwise hidden and never seen, and as you say, then it gets archived and people get to see it all over the place.
Yeah, and a great example of that is Paddy Cullivan. I don't know if your viewers are aware of him, but he's quite an eccentric performer. He was actually Gay Byrne's house band leader. He's a really talented sort of entertainer. But he does present challenges, this format, to performers and artists. But Paddy is a great example of how he was very quickly able to exploit, if you like, the move to a virtual platform. He turned around his live show, in a matter of a week, to a really funny, quite a entertaining, but also a very pointed take, really, on coronavirus and how it's affecting global politics, notably Trump, in the States. So if you actually look at his work, that was a great example of how an entertainer was able to quickly transform, their sets, really, and take advantage of this medium. So he's done very well out of it, and also allows him to fundraise on the back of it, to showcase his work, to wider audiences that perhaps weren't aware of him in the past, and to position him really, as a commentator, as a sort of current affairs, someone who can actually comment on, on a political developments like COVID-19, and have a really strong content with it. And of course, we still have legs. This content is still available, and it's great to see other platforms taking advantage of that content. For example, QFT, through their player this Sunday, are actually going to be showing Nicky Larkin's documentary on the making of Abomination, the DUP opera, with a very successful production in the lyric. Through the Belfast Ensemble. So it's great that archive, that material has now been used by other, if you like, arts organizations, and QFT are going to screen that this Sunday. And some of the income, it will be a pay-per-view event, and some of the income will go to Nicky Larkin, to the filmmaker. So it's great that it has this wider spillover, that some of our material has this resonance and can spill over, which other arts organizations can use. And we've seen it in other aspects as well. Northern Visions, our community TV station, has taken quite a number of the broadcasts and have used them in their programming. So it's good that we've been able to provide a wider showcase for some of the speakers and performers in our festival program.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good example, even just calling back to Paddy. Paddy was able to do everything he did for the festival back at home in Donegal, if I'm right. I think there's an interesting case with online streaming, the idea that you can stay home, you can stay local, and actually then have, be able to make a career much larger than you would normally have to, or be able to. It's the idea that brain drain that has been feared and obviously documented in Northern Ireland, where artists can't quite make a fully fledged career because there's only so many venues to perform in, there's only so many places to build an audience in, there's already so much competition and other things in the area that you have to almost go outside that area, not to become famous, but to actually build a sustainable career. And the idea that you can actually do some of that by staying home but via streaming and via local, I think it's quite an interesting idea. You kind of avoid the brain drain by getting to stay in Donegal and making interesting videos.
Absolutely, and already we're looking at how we can train and support, practitioners, artists, speakers to produce their own content. In the past, we've produced training workshops for people how to present, in public events, how to actually, be effective performers, how to present, their work to audiences, to live audiences. But there certainly is a need for performers to exploit online platforms more effectively. People like Paddy, we think, would be a very effective way, trainers in a sense, to use the experience of performers like Paddy and actually share that perhaps with younger artists, who want to develop their art forms on digital platforms and want to perhaps learn how to distribute their digital content more widely and earn, and look at ways of other ways of earning money, to keep themselves afloat in what's going to be an extremely difficult funding environment coming down the line.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key things is the worry that online there isn't the same ecosystem that there is there isn't the same traditions of people coming and seeing shows and paying for them. People expect a lot more for a lot less. Online, the newspapers have been going through that problem for a long time. The idea of monetizing content is very difficult. Subscriptions, people are already kind of tapped out with Netflix and Disney Plus and all the different kind of big streaming services. How can artists compete to actually have their content sold, bought, and provide an income stream for the career is a big question mark that we certainly have. But at the same time, it's quite an exciting area.
Yeah, and I do think there is a challenge to our funders and to government to look at ways needs to be a new, I feel like, model for funding, that incorporates, I feel like, online, digital content, new ways of broadcasting online and supporting artists and speakers, etc., to take advantage, of new streaming methods. And I hope they will take up that challenge and that we just don't go back to the same old, rather discredited ways in which we simply reward arts organizations that have been around, forever, and have been unable to respond, to changes in this environment.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Pete. Does the rest of the team have any other questions? They look at the little heads up and down.
Much, Pete.
Sorry, now?
Oh, just thank you very much, Pete. It was a crazy time. Like, I mean, just thinking like it seems like a very long time ago, just getting everything ready. But I'm glad it all paid off.
Well, thanks to you guys. I know this is going to sound like a love fest, to your viewers, but it was really a partnership approach, and it was great in a sense to see how the arts community, albeit in our little neck of the woods, people came together and helped us to deliver, that program, and I know that people really appreciated it. So well done to you lot, and well done to this current programming that you're involved in, which I know is definitely something that is needed at this particular time.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of thing where as Niall says, it feels both very long ago and not so long ago that we were kind of in a mad rush to film an absolute ton of different things, and then set up the streaming system for like 3 whole days of 8 to 9 hour long streams. So it was a fascinating kind of thing, and we were very excited to do it. So thank you very much, Pete, for allowing us to mess with your content and film it and do things with it, and thank you to all the artists who also let us kind of to support the festival in that way.
No, absolutely. Good effort all round.
Yes, we'll give ourselves a pat on the back as well. Thank you so much, Pete, for coming down. I'm just going to pop up on the screen the contact details for Imagine Again, just so people can see that archive currently covering Niall's little face. So it's imaginebelfast.com, as you can see behind Pete. So you can get all the different shows Pete are archived there, everything that was on the stream broken down by their event. Isn't that right?
That's right, all there. So it'll be there for foreseeable future as well.
Yeah. And if you're a glutton for punishment, I think the whole streams are still available on our website, on YouTube. So you can actually just sit down and watch an 8-hour-long day of streaming content if you're a glutton for absolute punishment. So thank you so much. We're going to now listen to a bit of music by Marty Byrne, our in-house DJ, who has been making a song a day for a year. So this is a kind of more recent track of his, as I kind of build it on the switcher at the same time now, desperately trying to move things over and move little buttons. But yes, this is from the 10th of April, so only a few days ago. Marty made this track. So here we go.
change only yourself. Find a space here. Take a deep breath now. Let it out very slowly. Shake, vibrate, the bumpy landing. Hold on tight, ride it out. But take a deep breath now. Let it out very slowly. Take a deep breath now. Let it out very slowly. You can change. You can't remain the same. You can't control your feelings. You can't control how this makes you feel. You can change. You can change only yourself. Take a deep breath now. Let it out very slowly. You can change. You can change only yourself. Take a deep breath now. Very slowly.
So that was Marty Burns' Song a Day for a Year. We've got Marty on the line who can kind of talk us through. So Marty, our house DJ for Talk at AT. Marty, that was the 10th of April's song.
Yeah.
What was happening there?
Yeah, so it started with a conversation with a friend who was getting very stressed in his household because his family situation was that some people were like isolating and other people weren't quite doing it right, and he was phoning me up just being like, I don't know what to do, I'm losing my mind here, people aren't listening to me, and he was incredibly stressed out, like, and I just was like, oh, I don't know what to say, I don't know how to sort of talk him down, kind of thing. And I was trying to like be like, just take a deep breath, you just ultimately all you can do is worry about yourself, like you have to just protect yourself, that kind of thing. And like it just kind of inspired that song that evening. I thought, it'd be fun and it would be interesting to make something that was like almost like a meditation thing, like something someone could listen to and maybe have some, not like a 30-minute long meditation session where it's like, take a deep breath now, but something of that nature, like that's kind of relaxing maybe, or could calm someone down if you were trying to get out of a stressful moment or something. So I just kind of spent a lot of time putting all these sort of synth pads and things, like these big kind of washy sort of textures together. And I put a little bit of the lyrics were kind of like, I wrote these lyrics that were sort of that nature, just sort of like, you can only change yourself, you can't do anything about what other people are going to do, you can only worry about yourself sometimes, that kind of way. Like it's sort of that thing about you see it as well when on Facebook and stuff, people talking about other people not socially distancing and stuff, and there's this kind of thing of everybody's very keen to like point the fingers at everyone else doing the wrong thing, but it's in the end, it's like you can only really like you can't control that in a way. You can't control what other people are going to do. You have to just kind of like make sure you're doing your thing the best you can, and look out for the people that you can look out for, that kind of thing. So it was sort of the gist of it, really, the message I was trying to get across in it, I guess.
No, that's brilliant.
And I don't know.
The team here didn't get to hear it, but we'll hopefully get to hear it later on. But I put up on the screen during it. I'm just going to pop it up on the screen now again, just how to get details of Marty's stuff at martybyrnemusic.co.uk, and then a little PayPal donation at paypal.me and Sadfa. So Marty, what's coming up for Sadfa as the rest of the month progresses?
Good. Well, it's. I think the thing about the project is I try not to plan ahead too much. I try not to. I try to treat every day very independent. Like I just wake up each day and have a completely fresh, completely blank slate. Don't sort of pre-plan. But at the same time, I've been trying to get other people to collaborate and join in and write songs with me. So I've a few people who have said they've been up for it. And it's kind of trying to nail people down on the days that they actually can commit to doing it, because it's quite a lot of work in a way. If you're kind of getting involved in it, it could take up a whole day, really. Of kind of back and forth, sending ideas back and forth, and trying to get a song to completion, like get a song to a point where it's like it's ready. It can take a whole day. But yeah, so those collaboration sessions are the ones where I would have more of an idea, like when I'm working with somebody who's maybe working on who works in a certain style of music, for example, someone who might work in just like rock music or folk music, or they're more into like soul music or something. Then with those collaborations, then it's kind of probably going to be more geared towards that. It's going to lead in that direction a bit more. Whereas with my own stuff, when I'm just doing it on my own, every day is a completely blank slate. Every day it's like last night, I was just kind of messing around with the studio stuff here. I've a bunch of stuff in the studio, like drum machines and synths and stuff. And I don't really use them that often. I'm usually doing everything in the box, just in the computer, because it's just easier and I kind of have everything I need. But now and again, I kind of play with the toys in the studio and just noodling about. And last night it was like, just ended up making this really aggressive techno stuff, like really hard, really aggressive techno music. And it was really cathartic. It was really like, I just want to make something because like the physicality of the knobs and just jamming in the studio is actually really good fun and really, really satisfying, and the music was just very high energy and very hard hitting, and I really had a lot of fun with that. And I've never done one like that. Like this is like day 106, and that's the first time I've done something quite so kind of techno based and kind of heavy and stuff. So it was quite interesting. Like, so who knows what who knows what today's going to bring, I've no idea.
That's brilliant. So we're gonna move on. You're still looking on for collaborators, so anyone can get in contact via what's the best way, Marty?
Probably, well, if you go to martyburnmusic.co.uk, there's a bunch of links on there, and for all the social media stuff, Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and stuff. So yeah, any of those methods, get in touch. Definitely really keen to work with other people. It's always fun. It's always great to get out of your own headspace and share ideas with other people. So I've done a few of those so far. I've done 5, I think, this year, and they've been really good fun. It's been really nice.
That's brilliant. Okay, we've had a couple of new people join us. So we've got Keith from BOC, Belfast Operatic Company, and then Finn Kennedy. We're going to say hello to them in 2 seconds, but first we're just going to show a little clip from, we've got a live stream tomorrow night called Ghostlight Sessions from Belfast Operatic Company, and we're just going to show a little clip of a piece that they've got coming up that will be on tomorrow night.
Diamonds are forever, they are all I need to please me. They can stimulate and tease me. They won't leave in the night. I've no fear that they might desert me. Diamonds are forever. And then caress it, touch it, stroke it, and undress it. I can see every part, nothing hides in the heart to hurt me. I don't need love, for what good will love do me? Diamonds never like to me, for when love's gone, their loves are all. All that has may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. A kiss may be grand, but it's no pay the rental on your humble flat, or help you feed your pussy cat. Men grow cold as girls grow old, as we all lose our jobs in the end. But when our hair shade is lost or is blessed, diamonds are a girl's best friend. Cause we are leaving.
Diamonds Are Forever from the Belfast Operatic Company. I'm joined at the moment by Keith. Keith, you're the chairperson of Belfast Operatic Company, is that correct?
No, I was a chairperson until recently I became musical director.
Musical director.
Yeah, so I moved from chairman to musical director in the last year.
Great. And that was, we've got a special session coming up with yourselves tomorrow. So can you first of all tell us a little bit about who are Belfast Operatic Company?
So Belfast Operatic Company are a musical theatre company. It's in Belfast. This is actually our 60th year. We've got the title of Operatic Company, but really when it was first said it was light operas, but now it's more musical based. So we've been going for 60 years. Sadly, with what's going on at the minute, it's kind of hampered our plans for a lot of what we're going to do currently. So this tomorrow night is us putting together something that we could the company members could enjoy getting their teeth stuck into. Different members from home have put together songs. Now we've collated with some of the concert stuff and recent shows that we've been able to put on as well. So it's quite exciting for us. It's just something to change our focus from the everyday situation of this pandemic.
Yeah, I'm just putting up on screen at the moment just the details for tomorrow. So that is, it's called Ghostlight Sessions, and it's live streaming from 7 o'clock tomorrow. Be on Accidental Theatre's website, accidentaltheatre.com/live. And you can donate as well all the way through just to support Belfast Operatic Company at bit.ly/donate to BOC. So Ghostlight Sessions, what was the idea behind Ghostlight Sessions as a title?
It's just really there's always the sort of myth of the ghosts in the background of the theatre, and just because of what the situation that we're in, it's just kind of we're not really there, but we are trying to make ourselves there, just make ourselves in the public eye, because we've been vacant from next week we were to do Titanic and the TEC. So we're not able to do that, and we're not able to meet as a company. So it's this sort of ghost feeling that we're just appearing through the great means of technology. And tomorrow night's really just us putting something together, company members getting involved, and a chance for people just to actually take their minds off the news for a second and sit back and enjoy and sing along from home and just enjoy music.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. So tomorrow night it'll feature solos, it'll feature kind of medleys. What kind of thing can people expect?
So tomorrow night there's quite a number of different soloists have recorded things from home, songs that mean a lot to them. Also we've incorporated, last year we performed The Greatest Show in the Mac, which sold out for the week, and so we've got different routines and different songs which has dance numbers and light and well lit. That's going to be showing throughout the night, and then recent concerts, some of the music that we've been able to perform at that. So it's really a real variety, loads of different styles of musical theatre, trying to keep it. We've gone back to our roots in the Gilbert and Sullivan days, and trying right up to Dear Evan Hansen. So it's a real range. So it should fit everybody's kind of musical tastes throughout the time that we're online.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on and having
Not a problem.
Chat with me.
Yeah.
We'll be showing Ghostlight Sessions tomorrow from 7 o'clock. I'm just going to pop it up on screen again. So live streaming from around 7 o'clock, and you can book a ticket, a virtual ticket, even though it'll kind of be free to everyone and anyone can access it. We've asked people to book a donation ticket to support BOC and to support everyone who are involved. So you can get tickets at accidentaltheatre.co.uk, and the stream will be on tomorrow night on YouTube and Facebook, and also our website as well. So thanks very much, Keith. We're going to play a little bit of another medley. We're going to play a little bit of an ABBA medley for 1 minute, as a little bit of an outro. So again, another taste of the full range of delights that will be on tomorrow night. Thanks again for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
was the last little bit there from BOC, a little bit of an ABBA medley. So again, they are on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I'm gonna hit this hard. Might as well mention it as many times as possible. Not because I'm desperately trying to fill airtime as I slowly re-edit different things on this end. So they are 7 o'clock tomorrow night. BOC, check them out on the website and so forth. 68 years. That's incredibly impressive that they've been going on for that length of time. So that's well impressive. We're going to just play another little track from Marty Byrne next, just because why not? Because Marty's fantastic, and we want to give him as much help and support as possible. So we're going to play now a really short track from the 13th of April that Marty was working on from A Song a Day for a year, if you haven't already seen it. So here we go.
I never knew I would be so free with you when you hold me in your arms. I know where I'm meant to be. Girl, I know you're the man for me. Oh, when we go out at night in this stare with fright, well, I see through the dim eyes in the head. Oh, 'cause I know, yeah, what I supposed to be. It's alright, 'cause I've got a weapon in my pocket, and it's full. Every one of those people. You take me home at night, hold me close at night. I know no one else will understand, 'cause you are the greatest thing. The greatest thing. I know you're great. Greatest thing.
We're gonna have like a
So that is Marty. That was from the 13th of April. What was behind the 13th of April?
Yeah, so this was also a bit of a first, I think, because I attempted to do sort of straight up kind of blues sort of song with a couple of funny chords in there. But basically, yeah, I just wanted to kind of go for some really straight ahead bluesy. And the vocal was like all one take. I recorded all the guitars, and then I thought, right, what am I going to do with these vocals here? And just hit record and didn't write any lyrics down. I just completely improvised the whole vocal take and just riffed, sort of cliched stuff about, oh, baby, you're the one for me and all this sort of stuff. But it kind of ended up sounding, it's still, of course, in typical, I'm allowed to swear? Oh, I'm allowed to swear, it's the internet. In typical fashion for me, it kind of went into a dark place as usual. But so it was just, it's bluesy sort of chords and song structure, and then just just completely improvised one take vocal on top, just letting go, just really going for it. That was good fun. So that's what that was, really. That was that one.
That's brilliant. Okay, so we've just been joined by Finn. So I'm just going to bring us up on the screen. There you go. So Finn Kennedy, hello, welcome to Talk at AT.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on whatever the heck that this is that we're still working out at the same time. So you have, as we just talked off air, you have been doing fuck all, but at the same time, you've been doing something absolutely phenomenal. You and Abby Spaulding. So can you tell us a little bit about it? I'll let you introduce the good news.
Yeah, so and actually I've been taking a lot of the credit. It is completely Abby's fund. I've been helping her on it. But yeah, I got added at the start of all this madness to a Facebook group that was, I think, a UK Facebook group called like Freelancers Surviving Corona. And I put on my Facebook, should we have our own one here? Because we're a special place here. And yeah, would that be helpful to anybody? And we had a lot of feedback. Everybody saying, yeah, go set it up, because people immediately lost work, and immediately, like, weeks of work, if not months. And we set it up. And as part of that, Abby said, why don't we set up a fund? And she went ahead and set it up, and she put £1,000 in to kick it off. And it's been great. Yeah, we've got 16,116 pound, which I had to check today. And then we've got another 10,000 that's going to come in from the Department for Communities, which was a bit of a surprise. So, I mean, it is brilliant, but at the same time, it's not going to help everybody. And that's been a really difficult aspect of it. And, you know, you really do see that people are really struggling in this time. I'm really frightened. I'm really stressed. So that's been a more tough part of it, but it's been brilliant to see everybody come together and support it. And we've had people who have applied and then since applying got work and have come in to say, look, withdraw me from it. So there's a respect for the fund and stuff as well. And Abby wants to keep it going and have it like something that if we can set up a trust or something, keep the fund going for artists forever, hopefully.
Yeah.
So just want to go fund me and look for the bread and butter fund. But I think a more useful thing would be for everybody to also keep asking, like the Arts Council have got an additional amount of money, and they have said in recent kind of tweets and Facebook posts about that they're aware of the situation and they really want to help. We haven't had anything yet. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to be something like a relief fund and not just a creative fund as per usual. So I think, like, for us to keep those conversations going, the bread and butter fund is just a stopgap. It's just £200. People need a lot more. So I think there's like a wider conversation around it as well, where people can help if they can't donate.
That's brilliant. I think we lost audio for a wee second there, just as you were explaining at the beginning. Not the beginning of the whole conversation, just the beginning of that last couple of sentences, how people might find out more about it. So can you give us that detail one more time?
Yeah, so it's just go on to GoFundMe, and the fund is called the Bread and Butter Fund.
That's brilliant. What's it up to at the moment?
16,116.
That's amazing.
And that doesn't include the 10K from the DFC. So
that's brilliant. Yeah, because why would they put it into the GoFundMe page? That would be quite a fun one to see. Like, someone's donated £10,000 into the GoFundMe page.
Well, we did have like a random £4,000 from an anonymous donor, so that was good. Don't know where it came from.
That's brilliant. So you yourself, how are you getting on these days? I know you don't want to talk about it.
I'm all right. I haven't really been doing any work. I've been really lucky that my last job that I was doing with Prime Cut, the contracts were honoured, so I was okay. And I got another commission with Replay Theatre Company, which I'm really excited about because they're such a lovely company to work for. But the project's gorgeous, and I'm on a project called Unprecedented with Headlong Theatre Company in London. So I'm on.
Headlong are fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm on their director's scheme. So I'm assisting their artistic director, Jeremy Heron, on a piece that they're creating. So they've commissioned numerous writers to write a piece in response to this pandemic, and they're filming it. So they're rehearsing on Zoom, and then they're filming it. And I think the BBC are going to be broadcasting it. So we've been having loads of conversations about, is it theatre, is it film or TV? And also just Wi-Fi issues and stuff. But it's really good. It's really good fun to do and really good learning for me. So I'm all right.
You also had one of the first shows kind of postponed a little bit. You had Body Politics, didn't you?
No, that was Maka Productions. That was Joe Egan's show. She was one of the first. I actually met her the day that she cancelled it, and I was like, "You're massively overreacting to this. I don't think this is going to be a big thing." And then I had to do a development of a play I have with the National Theatre Connections programme the next day at the Lyric, and it was cancelled. And then slowly but surely everything started stopping. And we were due to perform the project I was doing with Prime Cut. We've been working with loads of different community groups in September, and they had rehearsed all their pieces and they'd written pieces, and we were ready to go on the Lyric, and it got cancelled. So I was really gutted about that, but had to be done, you know.
Yeah, it's we've got a wee question there from Niall, who we lost from our stream because we had to remove him from it, and now he can't get access to it.
Accidentally banned him. Yeah, so Niall was asking, I think it's about the fund itself. At what point did you sort of realize that we needed to have one here? Like, was it, you mentioned that you saw the Facebook group for the more general UK. Was it sort of an immediate thing, or were you guys holding out for the Arts Council, or was it just kind of, we have to do something ourselves?
No, it was really immediate. Abby had the idea. She had seen there was a writer called Luke Barnes had set one up in Liverpool. So she was like, we need to do the same here. So it was really immediate. And in my head, I thought it's going to be something very quickly in between the government and the Arts Council sorting stuff out. And, you know, we're still kind of waiting on that. And you've seen, like, the Arts Council in the South did a creative fund and got a lot of backlash over it because it's a difficult time for people to be creative if they can't, if you're worried about, like, money and all the stress that comes with that. And even just this situation is so mad that, you know, it's difficult. And we know, like, some artists have told us about, you know, the impact of it on their mental health. You know, it's had a real effect. And I think we really need to keep shouting about it. I think the companies could shout about it more. Some of the companies have been absolutely brilliant. Like, we need something else. Something else needs to come in. The Bread and Butter Fund is just a very small thing. But it's not going to help people. It's just like, it's a short-term, immediate thing, you know?
Yeah. It's literally bread and butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not anything more than a stopgap. You know, because everyone's kind of stuck waiting for June to see how much of their own earnings they can get back from the government. I'm frantically trying to work out from tax reports from the last 3 years what anything's going to be. Yeah, well, hopefully the Arts Council will kind of come out with something good in the next kind of couple of weeks. Certainly they are due. I think they put it out this week, but I think I said that last week as well. So what would you like the Arts Council to do if we're not going to be too undiplomatic about it?
A relief fund. just think a relief fund where you can just apply and get money, and that's all you need to do. I don't think there should be anything. I mean, the problem with a creative fund is we're online now, so depending on your art form, your work mightn't translate. You're going to have to learn a whole new way of working. If you are a parent and you're homeschooling your children, how do you manage time between using a laptop and letting your children use a laptop? Like there's so many different, if you're not tech savvy, how are you going to get work out there? Some artists are already doing it and they're doing really brilliant things. But I think just a relief fund would just take the pressure off, and then that actually like frees up people to be creative. And I think we would see way more interesting things, without that stress on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's interesting similar arguments. I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think a creative fund is very tricky for being diplomatic about it, tricky because it's very, very difficult for all the reasons you've outlined. The kind of idea about a universal basic income is almost in a kind of similar vein to the idea of a relief fund. How would you feel about that kind of level thing coming in the not hopefully too distant future? We had the unprecedented occasion of DUP politicians for the first time proposing or seconding a universal basic income project. What kind of thing is in your mind about what we need in the future?
I mean, just to say on the DUP's suggestion for that, they did still have stipulations about who should get it, and I don't think that's how universal basic income works. Separate to my work, I campaign with a group called Right to Work, Right to Welfare, and I've been campaigning with them for at least 5 years now, and we campaign for changes to the welfare system because it's been terrible. Just people being stripped of benefits without any warning, and really unfairly being stripped of their benefits. So we've always been advocating for universal basic income. I think what's great about this situation, as bad as it is, we have so many people now applying for welfare. So it's kind of taken away all the stigma that the Tories have built for 10 years. Now everybody's applying. So there's something nice about the equality of a universal basic income as well. So yes, I would be all for
it. Yeah, I would second that. Tommy and Marty, do you have any questions for Finn?
Well, no, just to say I agree with it completely. Yeah, I think the universal. Well, first of all, I think that NI freelancers group's amazing, Finn, and you and Abby have done an absolutely amazing job. When I seen that a couple of weeks ago, it was just at the time where I lost my job. Basically, the place that I worked just closed its doors, and sort of within a day or two of that fund appeared, and that sort of Facebook group appeared, and for me it was just very heartening, just to even see people come together in that way. Regardless of the financial aid, it was just about the sort of people just going, right, come on, we all need to think about how we're going to help each other here as a community, and that was really encouraging for me personally. So that was brilliant. But yeah, I totally agree about the universal basic income as well going forward. I think it's been interesting that welfare isn't stigmatized as much now, and we're seeing that, and I think that's a very positive thing, definitely to come out of this. Hopefully that'll continue after. So it's not really a question, I'm just sort of agreeing really of what you're saying, but yeah.
Tommy, did you have something there?
Yeah, I was thinking, what are your thoughts on, obviously it's great for building community and stuff, but you see a lot of, especially younger artists and stuff now are putting stuff out for free, and they're putting stuff on Facebook and recording stuff at home. What are your thoughts on the implications of that going forward? Do you think that strengthens or diminishes the case for artists being paid for their work, and sort of those different kind of murky gray areas around it?
Yeah, I think that's such a huge thing, because it's such a quick turnaround as well. So it kind of, reinforces the notion that art is so easy to make and doesn't require any skill or time so I think there's a lot of danger around that. To use Tinderbox as an example, so Tinderbox Theatre Company have set up a kind of solo art project, And I think the really good thing about what they have done is that it's non-competitive. They just wanted to find a way for people to have money. And Podge had phoned me and didn't want anything. He was like, look, you know, we already have the fund. What else can we do? And I think what he's done is brilliant because it's non-competitive and there's no pressure to actually make a piece of work. It's just a moment. It's just something. So some people are just singing a song. Some people in their bedrooms. Some people are coming on and chatting with their children. And to take the pressure off that way, it's great because he's recognising that £100 isn't a payment.
Yeah.
You know, and there are some other ones that have cropped up. I think we really need to be careful about what those opportunities are, what we're paying people, and what, yeah, as you say, how we value the art. Because if it's just something we've put together and we have to put it together online because we're not going to be in quarantine in 2 months, you know, it's very immediate. Everything's very immediate. So yeah, I think there's a real grey area. I think it's fine for people to just express themselves and do stuff online in a response to it. But yeah, it's tricky. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be certainly an interesting area of debate kind of going forward. I mean, it has been for a long time, the idea of how people value art and how it's funded and the restrictions or difficulties that we've been under for a long time now, whilst also still trying to build new work, interesting work, and, you know, careers all at the same time. So it's certainly an interesting idea that the online site can add both good things and bad things that we're now kind of rushing towards to try and to discover more and more. But yeah, universal basic income, that will solve a whole load of things. Hopefully. We'll see. It'll open up another can of worms. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Finn, for joining us. You got anything else that you want to highlight or point to or direct people towards?
No, I just think, if you're a freelance, check out the Facebook page, NI Freelancers Surviving Corona. Terrible name. I set it up really quickly.
But
great
also, cartoon.
yeah, stole that as well. Okay. But also just to say, you know, we are really coming together as freelancers, separate to companies, and something is happening and we're making work by ourselves. And I think we need to find a way of galvanizing that, keeping that going, and then maybe looking for more funds for independent artists to make their own work, not just for development. So I think we can keep going with it.
That's brilliant. Well, hopefully it won't all be down to you to make the next steps, but you've done fantastically so far, so thank you again. That's amazing. I look forward to seeing that fund grow more and more, and we'll keep on putting it out as much as we can as well. So yes, Bread and Butter Fund, GoFundMe, and then search for Bread and Butter. That's the place to look for if you want to help some artists and give a little bit of a stopgap. But I suppose canvassing your politician and telling them that the arts is important and to fund it better might also be maybe more just as equally as important. You've got another thing to say? Yes,
the fucking most important thing. We have a second round, the Bread and Butter Fund. So we've already done one round. There were a lot of people who didn't get it. Some people who did. So those people can apply again, and it will be coming out again. So please apply.
That's brilliant. So the applications, how is the applications run? Where do you apply? How do you apply?
We will put a link to the applications on the NI Freelancers page. So it's just like it's a Google form.
Brilliant. So it's a Google form. It'll be so you have to be signed up to the NI Freelancers Surviving Corona Facebook group, and then the link will be there. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to listen to one more track of Marty's, and then we'll have a quick chat to him and to the rest of the team. We'll see if we can recover Niall from being banned from somewhere. So thank you again to Finn. Thanks as well to Pete. This is a track from Marty from the 12th of April. So we're kind of zooming around. I think we've had the 10th and the 13th so far, so now we're hitting kind of in between. So here's something from Marty. So that was Marty's April 12th song from Song a Day for a Year. Marty, what was going on there?
So it was a song that involved two iPhone music apps. I was going to try and show you these very quickly, actually, because I've got them on my phone here. It might look a bit odd on the screen, but so there's this little app. It's called like Loopy. I don't know if you can see that very well, but you see all these little rings. These little you can record. You can go like la, and you just loop your voice onto this app, so you can like do like many layers of your voice just looping things, blah blah blah, this kind of thing, and turn them on and off. So you can build up like these kind of like vocal cords or little loop things, which is really fun, really flexible. And then this other app called Koala Sampler. I've seen somebody using this on Instagram, and it's a similar kind of idea that you can just sample, create your own little samples on your phone, and then you can like sequence them, just playing them in like little beats and stuff. So you can go like, so So I've got all these little vocal samples, like beatboxing samples. And so you can put your little sequences together. That's actually the same sequence from the song. Yeah, so I used those two to kind of just do these two kind of live jams, and that was basically the track. And then kind of went back once I'd recorded them, kind of went back and added a couple of other layers and tweaked a couple of things. But yeah, so it's basically just all the source sounds are vocals and beatboxing and singing from those two apps, and then kind of chop them up a bit on the computer. So that was that one. Keeping it live, you know.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's fantastic just to get little kind of tools like that you can then play with and make entirely new things. I'm always jealous of audio guys. As a person who has to direct with, it's like you always need a whole load of people to play with and scripts and tools and things to actually noodle. Whereas musicians just can pick up something and play with it. I've never been very good at music on my own in and of itself.
These apps are really fun though, especially the Koala Sampler one. It's so easy to just record a thing and then and then you can just start playing with it. Record it into a little pattern and riff and But yeah, it's so easy to get the grips with. That one's specifically if you wanted to have a wee noodle about, I definitely recommend that one. But yeah, there's all sorts. There's a really great one called Endless as well. It's just come out by a guy called Tim Exile, who's like this music producer, but he's kind of went into the world of designing music apps. And he built this app where people can kind of jam with each other over the internet. And it's absolutely unreal. It's like you can, you have all these tools on your phone for making little riffs, little loops. And then as you make it, it kind of uploads it to whoever else is on the server, and they can take it and remix it and chop up your bits and then send it back to you. So you just it's just this endless stream of kind of remixing each other's little riffs and ideas. It's totally unreal. It's like completely redefined how people make music together. You can just be on this thing all day, just jamming, and it becomes almost like Twitter, someone's like a social engaging with people, and rather than little tweets of information or comments, you're kind of making these little musical gestures towards each other. It's really fascinating.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I've just gone down a nerd hole there talking about this stuff. Sorry. I'll just carry on playing with my synth here.
Have you made your song for today yet?
No, I'm thinking I'm gonna have another play around with the studio toys today, because that was really fun yesterday and I haven't really done that enough. So I might plug all this stuff in, set it all up. I've got stuff kind of ready to go, and see what happens. Make some bleeps and beats and stuff. I think that's maybe the way I'm going today. We'll see. I say that now, and then maybe come dinner time I'll just be like, nah, actually I'll go with some guitar stuff or something.
That's great. Thank you so much, Marty, for joining us. Thank you again to Pete and to Finn as well for joining us to talk about the Imagine Festival and the Brother Fund, respectively. We have coming up, we got the next episode of We've got the next episode of this coming up on the 23rd and the 30th. We've also then got next week, the 23rd, we will have the team from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival coming up. Legitimately the head of the Edinburgh Fringe plus two of the main staff members and participant team members. So if you've got any questions for them, please send them through. We've also got a live stream tomorrow night of Ghostlight Sessions. That is at 7 p.m, as I've said earlier on the stream. We've also then got another Figure This life drawing class coming next week on Friday, the 24th. So keep tuning in. There's lots of different kind of weird and wonderful kind of shows and events coming up online, including next week the return of the Rob Explains podcast, which unfortunately disappeared for a very short period of time as we were running it at Accidental. We had to kind of put a hold to it last year, and it is returning for a live show. So it'll be a meandering mess. I'm pretty sure. As a person who's edited those podcasts, they're a hilarious mess of us just talking over each other about crap. So the topic for the first Rob Explains, this live one, is actually poo. It's poop. We thought that might be a very nice topic to kind of start back with. So yeah, tune in. I'm going to pop up on the screen some people's kind of details again. So that's Marty Byrne, his PayPal there. Please support if you can. And then we've got Pete O'Neill from the Imagine Festival. He can be found at imaginebelfast.com. And then we've got Finn's Bread and Butter Fund, which can be found at GoFundMe Bread and Butter as well. So please have a wee look at those and support. Not to mention also, not to forget Yellow Crane Tai Chi, who are at yellowcranetaichi.com. So please have a check out of all of those. You can also book tickets for this show, again, just as donations, just to help us out, because we are absolutely closed down at the moment. So anything you can give, just so you can get access to it from accidentaltheatre.co.uk/live, and either click on the donation button or click on the book a donation ticket. Thank you again to Tommy, to Marty, and to Niall, who we accidentally kicked off the Zoom call and couldn't reconnect him. So thanks, Niall. But he's been monitoring the streams on his end. So yeah, thank you very much. We're going to play a little outro, which is the same track as last week from Marty's collection, which was a fantastic track from the 31st of March. So thank you. Join us next week at the same time, around 1 o'clock. But check out our website for all the kind of details of things coming up. Thank you.